Hello, everyone. We'll begin shortly. Thank you for joining this webinar. Today, we're going to talk about live AI dubbing. This is a very exciting topic that we've gotten a lot of interest for. And we're just going to allow just a few seconds for everyone to join the meeting. A few housekeeping items. During this meeting, we're going to have poll questions, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end. If you have questions during my presentation, please feel free to post them in the Q&A chat box. You can also chat directly to our panelists if you'd like, and they'll be happy to answer your questions as they go on. Some of the questions will be chosen at the end so that we can address them publicly. And once again, thank you so much for your participation today. My name is Giovanni Galvez. I am the Vice President of Business Development here at SyncWords. I've been in the television industry for over 20 years, helping people make their live video and pre-recorded videos accessible. And I'm very excited and quite proud of my team because they have come up with something so unique and so powerful that allows people to not only add accessibility in the form of text to live videos, but also accessibility for all languages with AI dubbing. And this is something that's wonderful, and we're going to have demonstrations during this webinar to show you exactly what that looks like. So let's get into it. Really, these are the kind of things we're going to cover today, right? And 2023 is an amazing year because we've had so many changes. There's a lot of events happening, both virtually and in person. There's a lot more live streaming. There's a lot more cable cutting, where people are cutting their cable TV and just streaming all their live news and sports. Also, we're seeing an increased demand for inclusivity, right? So we're going to talk about how AI translations can help increase inclusivity. We're going to hear how natural AI voices can be, talking about the regional accents, add translation languages to any live stream. And we're going to look at how to localize, whether you're doing a virtual hybrid in person, or if you're going to do it just full on 24/7 live news channel. This is something that can be done with AI dubbing. Then we'll talk about what SyncWords offers as far as like key features and how easy it can be to do. And for developers out there, we're gonna showcase how they can leverage our basically software to integrate live AI into their streaming platforms. So very exciting stuff. Let's get into it. You know, before we begin, I wanted to talk about what AI dubbing really is. And you know, when you look up AI dubbing, whether you're looking it up in Google or ChatGPT or wherever, they're typically talking about AI dubbing for pre-recorded video. And it's really a way to automate and leverage artificial intelligence to create a new voice, right? And it's the kind of thing where it requires really some deep understanding of audio video, as well as leveraging key engines in order to get that high resolution, really effective dubbing. And of course, it's a way to automate and a way to save money. But what about live streaming? You know, and just doing AI dubbing live, that's something that people look at more like science fiction, I guess, in the past, right? If you're a Star Trek fan, for example, or if you've looked at movies where, you know, you have someone from another planet speaking onto a microphone or some device, and then you get the language that you can understand. Well, how can we do that now? Is it possible? And I'm here to tell you yes. And interestingly enough, you know, when we asked an artificial intelligence how AI dubbing can be done for live streaming, it really told us that most things are done for pre-recorded with AI dubbing. But if you're gonna do it live, you have to have all these elements like automatic transcription, automatic translation, right? Voice synthesis that sounds good, and it's got all the different languages and accents, and be able to localize that in a way that's more effective and interactive. And what about synchronization? That's also critical. If I'm speaking, how long is it till I hear the dubs? Or is it possible to perfectly synchronize the artificial voice of AI dubbing to the spoken word and deliver it in a way where people can hear it right away as people are speaking in a different language? And then, of course, how do I integrate all that with what I'm doing now, right? Whether I'm streaming my phone to social media, I'm streaming a 24/7 news or sports program, or whether I have an entire workflow built in for all my users. Like, for example, in the case of Twitch, where they have millions of users streaming all the time, day and night. How do I integrate into that? So all of these things are basically at play here, and building that infrastructure, not just having it working right on one computer, but having like a whole platform that can scale, that can have this high availability, and be able to do it even when it's mission critical type of live events, right? That people can really feel confident about, and to deploy that whenever they need. That's really what it boils down to. And so I think it's important to note that it's something really complicated and complex to do AI dubbing live. And that's what we've been able to accomplish with SyncWords. And thinking about it from that perspective, right? So we have how to deliver it to any stream. Imagine you already have a live stream 24/7, live sports, you're watching tennis, basketball, the NBA finals, for example, here in the United States, or live 24/7 news, or even you're going to plan a live conference in person or virtually. How can I just put it into every player? That's really the challenge that we're really stepping to the plate to be able to meet with our new platform that can do AI dubbing. And before I go further, we have some poll questions here that I'd like to share with the group. If you can take a moment to answer these poll questions, please go ahead, and then we'll share those answers just momentarily. The first poll question is, what type of live streaming do you do? Are you doing internal meetings? Are you doing training? Are you streaming live so that everyone can watch it? Are you doing both? Second question is, how many languages do you typically require for live translation? Are you just focused on one demographic where you need a single language like Spanish? Or maybe you're streaming something to your own language and you just need it translated that way? Or are you the type of person that needs to grow your audience globally so that everyone can understand what you're streaming? Please go ahead and answer those questions for us, and then we'll continue. All right, I think that's good. Let's go ahead and move forward. You can see the results here. If you are interested, please take a quick look. All right, moving on. Inclusivity is probably one of the major aspects of doing AI dubbing live, right? I'm sure if you've traveled, or if you are from a foreign country and have come to the United States, maybe you have gone into events, or are trying to watch a favorite live news or sports, and you can't quite understand everything that's being said. So how can we make that experience more inclusive for you? Is really the question we're asking here. And there's a few elements to this, like language accessibility. So number one, that's the basic thing, right? If you have access to multiple languages for your live video, then you're going to have a larger audience. That's just key. There's also the multilingual communication, right? How can I have global reach, right? So we have domestic audiences in every country. You have people from all over the world. And then you have the concept of, hey, I want to grow my audience outside of my own country, to an international audience. And that's where multilingual communication really comes into play. The other aspect is cross-cultural understanding, right? This can equal productivity in being able to meet those tasks. This goes along with internal training, webinars, conferences, being able to communicate with teams all over the world. This is really where it's at right now as your business begins to grow into a larger enterprise type company. And then, of course, there's people that need help. If I need to find out something or watch a tutorial or video or want to listen to the new thing, I want to have access to those services, right? And I want to, say, purchase something. You see product launches that are happening live, whether it's a major company that's launching a phone, or it's the new latest and greatest business tool. This is where access to services comes into play and can equal revenue for companies when they're leveraging automatic translations via AI dubbing. And the last thing I wanted to touch upon is interactivity, which is basically collaboration empowerment, right? If, say, right now I'm speaking in English, and in a moment I'll demonstrate automatic dubbing of my voice, maybe you'll pick up something if you speak a different language, and you'll want to ask a question about what I'm saying. And this really empowers your audience to become more interactive, become more engaged in what you're presenting. Once again, I wanted to remind everyone, if you have questions, please feel free to ask those questions. And at the end, we'll have a questions and answers segment. Okay, so the time is now for everyone to experience automatic AI dubbing. And this is something that you can do right this second. It is something that we're launching live. And all you have to do is simply take your mobile phone, and you can scan this QR code right now with your mobile phone. That's going to take you to a web page. And in that web page, there's going to be a menu where you can choose between 3 different languages. And actually, I think we have more than 3. And you can select the language that you would like to listen to, and then press the play button. When you press play, you'll be able to listen to everything that I'm saying in all these languages live. And this is great because our platform can actually generate this automatic web page that can be hosted. And we can be able to take this and put it into in-person meetings. We can take it and put it into live streaming, and it works really seamlessly. It's very simple to set up. And our platform even allows you to do this all on your own. If you're the type of person that likes this do-it-yourself type of model, we have this for you as well. So please take a listen to this. And also, this is going to be live throughout the rest of the webinar. So feel free to listen to it in a different language if you prefer. Okay, so let's get into really how to localize your next big scale, your virtual event, your hybrid event, your in-house meeting. This is a part of this. And then we'll talk about live streaming as well. So it's really simple. You can set up an account with SyncWords Live if you're an event agency, if you're an audio video team, if you are a house of worship. And within that, we can give you a test environment. There you can explore all the different languages that we have, the different delivery options that we have. And of course, you can list the languages that you're going to require for your event. That's really critical. We support over 40 languages, so I'm quite confident we can support the requirements of most people. Then what about accuracy, right? This is all automated. So we're using speech to text, we're using machine translation. There's a way to make that more accurate. So it's way better than just like your garden variety type of speech to text. It's something very premium. And there you can add a dictionary. So you can put all the names of all the presenters, acronyms, brand names, phrases that you're going to use that perhaps are not that typical. And you can specify these things ahead of your event so that they're not only accurately transcribed, but also accurately translated. And you can get that high level of accuracy using our system. And then, of course, schedule a rehearsal with your audio video team, right? Perhaps you already work with someone. And with these people that you work with, they're going to know exactly how to send audio to our system. If you yourself are an engineer, you'll be able to pick it up right away using tools like OBS, for example, or Wirecast, or any of these tools like vMix. And these systems, or any streaming systems, are able to send us the audio so that we can do the automatic AI dubbing. And once you are happy with that rehearsal, then it's time to set up that live stream, right? And we can deploy that via web page, a QR code for quick access, just like I did in my previous slide. Or of course, you can do that, special live streaming if you have a more advanced workflow where you can send it to anyone, whether they're watching it on a mobile phone or whether they're watching it on their desktop computer. So it's a very powerful platform that you can take advantage of. And so it's quite simple to localize. One use case there is, imagine you have an event happening tomorrow and you need 10 languages for that event. It's going to be very difficult to source that many interpreters. It's going to be very expensive to do that as well. But with our system, you can set it up within minutes and be ready to go. And if you need even 5 minutes before the event, a new language, you can add that language. It's very simple to do. And that's really what it boils down to. Simplicity, scalability, high availability. You can have concurrent events happening all at once. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to talk about the key features of SyncWords right now. But before I do that, I have one more poll question that I want to present to the group here. If you are watching this, you'll see the poll pop up. And the first question is, how do you foresee delivering your live translations? Right? Are you focused on delivering this to a web page? Is that what makes the most sense to you? Or are you using a platform like, say, Hopin or WebEx? Do you want the AI dubbing sent there? Or are you doing in player, where you just want a live streaming player, just like when you're watching any video live streaming? Or are you doing all of the above? Let us know. The second question is, how often do you get requests for audio translation? Right? I realize that AI dubbing is something new, but really it's about, do you need translations via audio, whether you're hiring an interpreter or otherwise? Let us know if this is something that is constantly coming up for you, whether it's sometimes or more frequently than that. That's really important to note. Okay, I think that's a good enough time. Let's move on. So you can see the answers there. We see a lot of all of the above and fairly frequently seems to be the key thing, and that's great. And we're excited for you to try this system that we have launched. All right, so let's talk about some of the key features of the system. First of all, it's simple to use. There's a whole web app. You log in with an account. You can give an account to all your engineers or all your staff so that they can set up meetings with AI dubbing. It's easy to schedule. There's this whole concept of scheduling for a single event. You can schedule all your events for the week, or all your events for the month, or all your events for the year. And we can help you with that. So once they're scheduled, you just have the system ready to go when your events are happening. There's a whole scheduling tool there that works on every time zone. Then select the language combination, right? If you're speaking in a different language, let's say you're speaking in Romanian and you want that translated to English and Spanish, you can do that. You're not limited to a single input language. You can speak in English, have that translated, or you can speak in a different language and have that translated. So there's a concept of input language and output language. Then you can customize the output voice. I can say I want Spanish translations with audio in Mexican style Spanish versus Argentinian style Spanish. There's a different accent, so you can customize the voice. You can say I want a male voice and I want that particular accent and nationality. Same thing is true with certain different styles of language. For example, if I'm speaking French, I want French Canadian versus French from Switzerland, or French from Belgium, or from France. There's that kind of granularity when you want to select a voice within our system. And then, of course, how are you going to deliver that voice? Are you going to deliver it on a web page, just like I showed you earlier? Or are you going to put it into a web widget where you can embed it on a web page or a virtual event platform? Or are you going to use HLS streaming players, which is the standard in live streaming right now? You can use all of the above. You're not limited to one output. In this case, we're doing all of the above and actually sending it out to Zoom as well. And it's really a very versatile, very agile system that we've built from the ground up. Speaking of live streaming, I have a really amazing demo coming up in the next slide. Let's get into it, because this is really where I feel like it's something so special, so unique about our system, that you can take translations, AI dubbing, as many languages as you want, and put it all on a player that when you're watching the live stream, the menu is there. You can actually select what language you want, right? Before, you could do subtitling, you could be stuck to one language. Then we're able to do multiple languages with that. That's something we've done for many years now, even for major broadcasters. But now we can stack as many audio languages as you want. So as you're watching the video, you can select the language pair that you want and what language you want to listen to in the audio portion of the player. And this works with any HLS player that you have. So if you already are using a player application for your live streaming, this is compatible with that. And it's compatible with your entire workflow. And you don't have to transcode the video, which is another amazing thing about our solution with in-player live AI dubbing. It is something that we don't touch your video. We don't want to touch your video, because your video, that's the most important thing. It has to stream. We don't want to add any artifacts to it or degrade the quality of the audio or video. So the way the system works is it just allows to add the AI dubbing as part of the playlist that the player can read. And that makes it very, very special and very versatile. I can literally go to a web page and say, here's a live stream. Okay, let's add dubbing to it. And I don't have to change their workflow for streaming. I don't have to touch their video. It's really sits right on top of their existing workflow. Another aspect to this is that we can turn it on 24/7. So if there's a live news channel, live sports channel, we can just have it, set it, and leave it. And it's going to be dubbing to all these different languages automatically, for the entire year if you want. And then what about synchronization? And that's really another key jewel in the crown of the SyncWords AI dubbing solution. It is so amazing because we have the capability, and it's part of our name, right? SyncWords, to analyze the spoken word and deliver so that the subtitles, that the dubbing are perfectly in sync to the spoken audio. And so you don't have to have this delay. And I am now going to show you an example of this. Give me 1 second while I share my video screen. And in this example, we have 3 languages.
Earlier saying there was an urgent need for Ukraine to join both NATO and the EU.
También esperamos escuchar de Rishi Sunak, que se sentó entrevista con el primer ministro británico, sus pensamientos sobre esa reunión y las diversas líneas que están saliendo de ella.
Ми також очікуємо почути від Ріші Сунака, який дав інтерв'ю з британським прем'єр-міністром, його думки щодо цього зібрання та різні
और इससे निकलने वाली विभिन्न पंक्तियां। तो मोल्दोवा से हमारे पास आने वाली लाइव तस्वीरें ये हैं। ऐसा नहीं लगता कि यह वास्तव में शुरू होने से बहुत दूर है।
Las imágenes de esa boda real y justo en los últimos segundos, estaba viendo solo el intercambio de anillos porque se trata de la boda del príncipe heredero Hussein con una arquitecta saudí que estamos viendo actualmente.
In this example, this is a live stream that we found. It's just a live stream coming from this news channel. And here we are doing everything automatically. So the subtitles are automatic, the translations are automatic of the subtitles, and the dubbing is automatic. If you want to take a closer look at this, this will be up for the next 30 minutes or so. And we can also share a link to this if you'd like on the chat so you can take a closer look at how it works. And yes, it does work on your mobile phone. So if you'd like to watch this on your mobile phone, please feel free and welcome to do so. So that's a very exciting thing, right? Being able to just take any live stream and add our solution right on top of it without having to change anything of the actual live video and stream. It's simply like just a way to just deploy this in such a awesome way that it really is unique in the industry. And to make it work on any screen, right? You can watch it on your Chromecast, you can watch it on your mobile phone, you can watch it on your desktop, and just watch it in the language of your choice, using SyncWords is really, I think, the most modern solution I've ever seen for live localization, live translation. All right. Again, if you have questions about that, please feel free to share that with us, and we'll talk about those try to answer those questions toward the end. Okay. So what you've experienced there was what we call caps, subs, and dubs, right? And the dubbing is really the pinnacle of it, to be doing it perfectly in sync, to do the translation. And what about integrating that so that if you have a virtual event platform, if you have a streaming platform, we do have an API that allows you to do that, right? And that's also wonderful because imagine you have something that your entire company or all your clients are using, or your virtual event platform. This is something that can be integrated so that everyone can take advantage of this. Like imagine you log in and say, hey, I'm going to do a webinar today, or I'm going to do a live stream, and I want doves. You can have that as an option using our integration tools, right? So integrate into your live streaming applications. We've optimized the system to work with AWS Media Live, HLS workflows. So if you're using AWS, whether it's their CDN, their live streaming capabilities, we got you covered. It's built on Kubernetes for scalability, high availability. It's really the most modern technology that there is for platform architecture. And of course, leverage best in breed, automatic speech, ASR, machine translation, text to speech. This has always been something that developers have struggled with, right? And you see that because what you have probably experienced in the past, even with speech to text, is like some work okay, some work really badly. Which one should we use for certain languages? We've kind of taken all the legwork out of it with our platform because our platform supports multiple engines and it's optimized to work with a specific engine for a specific language combination, right? So instead of trying to piece this engine with this other technology, which is extremely complicated and challenging, we have done all that for you. And you can even try different combinations of engines within our system to see what works best for your application. And of course, by integrating with SyncWords, you can go to market now, right? You don't have to make this engineering investment, and you don't have to like worry about how long is it going to take, how long is it going to cost. It's something you can integrate right now and deploy this exactly how you saw it today. And then, of course, there's support, maintenance, and security. We have put that all into our platform to address even the most stringent workflows and security requirements. Some of the major tech companies in the world are coming to us because of that. And that's a really could make or break certain business if you don't have that as part of your solution. So this is all part of the SyncWords robust API is what we call it. And please feel free to ask more about that. We are planning to have a deeper dive webinar in about a month where we can address and talk about some of these really more deep level type integrations. After that, I wanted to talk about our SAS model. This is also new. Because of the system, there's going to be high demand for it. We can support high volume applications. So if you're doing 600, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 hours, we can support this kind of high volume. And because it's high volume, we can give you a much better deal where it's like a yearly type of contract. There's premium support available that you can count on no matter what time zone you're in. We've assembled a whole team to help with European customers, Asian customers, as well as the Americas. And of course, that if you want to increase the volume, if you see that this is really working for you, we can have a flexible contract that can give you that option. Naturally, multi-year options are available, and we can cover all 24/7 live news and sports channels. So this is really what SyncWords SAS is all about regarding our AI dubbing. If you have questions about that, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to meet with you. But now we have the Q&A session where we're going to answer some of your questions. And I'm going to invite Len from our team to join in the audio call so that we can see what you guys think and how I can answer some of the questions from the webinar.
Thank you, Gio. So I'll start reading some of the questions. We had a few different questions about how many languages can we stream simultaneously, as well as another language question that deals, do we have to start in English or can we start in other languages?
Yeah, that's a really good question, both of them. In fact, to answer the first one, currently we support 40 languages combinations, 40 languages, and the combinations actually are enormous because you can have different input languages. So 40 input languages, and we have like 40 output languages. So you can start in English, you can start in Romanian, you can start in German, you can start in French, you can start in any of these languages that we support. And then from those languages, you can translate to a variety of languages. And there's no limit. You can just keep stacking as many languages as you need for deployment.
Great, thank you, Gio. So we got a few different questions related to latency. So when there's one that's like, what's the latency? I guess I talk a little bit about the latency and the difference between like the widget latency versus like the stream, like, you know, the AI, the HLS stream latency. I think that will help clear up things for people.
Yeah, sure. So really it's about deployment, right? Which can vary from like a few seconds of latency to sub 1 second of latency. In the case of when you're doing something like a widget or a web page where I'm just talking, you know, you'll see some latency there. You know, you'll see like a few seconds before you get the translated audio. However, when you're doing live streaming, right, especially in the case of HLS live streaming, the live streaming server already adds a delay to the video. So we leverage that delay, right? So like imagine you're streaming to, say, YouTube, or you're streaming to a wide audience via your content delivery network. We leverage that delay to then synchronize the AI dubbing and translations. So what you're seeing at the end is something that has sub-second latency there. And that's something that that's very unique. As horsepower increases and we add new updates, we'll see something similar happen also to the low latency delay, and we'll lower the latency on the web app as well.
Great, thanks, Gio. Another question so I'll just read the question straight out. So it's like, does SyncWords use multiple video audio streams for each dubbed voice, or are we using different audio tracks with a single video stream?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there are different audio tracks within the same stream is really the best way to answer that in a nutshell, right? We can get into the more technical things and get into the weeds with the answer, but essentially, when you're watching a live stream, there's like something called like a playlist that basically tells the video player, you know, where the audio video is coming. So you can tell that playlist to also have an alternate audio stream. You can tell it to have multiple audio streams within that. So the actual full stream, when you're watching it on your mobile phone or when you're watching on the desktop, it's really a combination of a playlist that includes the audio and video in addition to all the different audio streams that we're generating. So yes, there are different audio streams, but it all gets kind of consolidated into a single stream when you're actually watching it into a single player.
Great, thanks a lot, Gio. And that actually answers another question that's very similar. Someone is asking, like, how can you do both dubbing and captioning together? And I think it basically goes back to what you just said. So as well as multiple audio streams, there's multiple subtitle streams that you can add to that playlist and employ.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's really with that protocol, right? HLS streaming. There's really no limit, and there's no limit in types of languages too. You can also add Asian characters, which is something that the typical subtitling for live streaming didn't have. So you can have 20 subtitle languages, you can have 30 AI dubbing languages. There's really no limit there, and that's really what makes it very special and unique.
Great, and then we got another one. So this is about the voice. So there's like they can tell that it's not, you know, it's not intended to match your voice, but they're asking if it's possible. Like, so is it possible, or do you foresee being able to submit training data to match a live voice in additional languages?
Yeah, those technologies are in the works. You may have probably read about how people can now will be able to train a model using their voice these things will come to pass where you will be able to have a new voice in a different language that sounds like your own. And that is something that we are also working on. And for now, what you can do today is you can find an AI voice that you can audition that may represent, who you are with a particular tone. But in the future, the voices will actually be able to look at your inflections. They'll look at the tone. They'll look at your emotions, and they'll be able to reproduce an artificial voice. And that is not too far in the future. And if you'd like to know more about that, please let us know. We'd love to give you some demonstrations.
Great. And then, yeah, so a few different people have asked about when will the platform launch, pricing, how to set, how do you get in touch with us, these kinds of things. So I think just let people know the best way to reach us, and, I guess set up a time to talk to us and get access to all of this good stuff we're showing.
Yeah, we would be thrilled for you guys to reach out to us and schedule a time where we can give you access to the platform. We can talk to you about your requirements, provide you with pricing based on the languages that you need and the type of delivery that you want. Please feel free to scan this QR code. That takes us right to the contact page, and you can there just request a meeting with myself or our teammates to talk technology and to talk business.
Gio, thank you for that. And then one last question. And I know we answered this in the text, but so someone was asking if we're using a human captioner at all today, and just let them know that I've everything here was automated, right? From the captioner to the translation to the voice, everything was done with using automation.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the demos that we've done today are completely automated, meaning that there wasn't a human captioner used. However, in some workflows, there already is a human captioner doing the English captioning, for example. We can also leverage that because our system can input the text that's being typed by a human captioner and translate to a different language and create an AI voice based on the accuracy of a human captioning. So we have workflows that can leverage a trained professional human captioner and do the automatic translation and AI dubbing, and we can also do it completely automated. So there's both of those options, and yeah, we're very agile in that way.
And let me see. So one other question is, do we have any policies like regarding to who will offer the service to? And like an example that this in the question is like, would we be fine spreading disinformation, for example?
That's interesting. I'm personally not fine with spreading disinformation. I think that's not okay. What we offer our services to is people who are content creators, right? So we ourselves are a software as a service, and this software as a service is really geared to try to increase comprehension and inclusivity and accessibility. That's really our goal and mission with this entire solution. It is not a way for people to spread this information. That's not what we want. What we want is to make sure that everyone, no matter what language they speak, can be included so that they can understand and comprehend and participate in what's being generated by content producers.
Okay. I think we've covered the majority of the questions here, Gio. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to add them now.
All right. Well, I am so happy that you joined this meeting, and thank you everyone for your time. You know, we want to encourage you to take the SyncWords challenge. What is the SyncWords challenge? The SyncWords challenge is to basically test out our system, try it, and see that it's really going to help make your live streaming, your live events more accessible and inclusive. It is something unique in the world, very special. And I'm proud to be part of this team, and I hope that you will join the SyncWords family and try the system and deploy it for your next event. So thank you very much for your time. And with that, we'll like to invite you to the next webinar. Please look out on social media and on email for an invitation where we're going to do a deep dive into live streaming and programmatic deployment and integration.
Gio, I'm just going to share the link in the chat to the SyncWords challenge page. Just give me 1 second here.
Yeah, please take a look in the chat, folks, and get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you and meet with you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining.
Have a great day, everyone.